This video is all about walking you through the visual book overview. So once you have done your paragraph titles, your literary forms, you've made this nice outline, you are going to make it nice and pretty, creating a visual book overview that's basically a one-stop shop of just everything that's going on in the book. This is super helpful to come back to after your studies and use during your studies to remember where you are. So say you're studying this part, this helps you remember what has come before. So I'm going to show you how to draw that. So using the graph paper provided right here, the first thing that it says to do is draw your skeleton of the visual book overview using a ruler. So you should have your own ruler. So something to remember, you can see the picture, is that you want to leave one full square all the way around. So right here, this is a half square, this is a full square. So that's pretty important to have one full square all the way around because it helps us with the math. All right, so I'm just going to draw that. You don't have to use a Sharpie. I like doing it this way because it's easier for me to see. So what I'm doing right now is creating my horizontal skeleton. So you can see here, this is one full box. So I'm gonna make my line here. Great. And then the bottom, doesn't really matter, one box on the bottom, but I do it anyways. Great. All right, now from the top, you count 4 boxes down. So 4, a line of 4. Then 3 boxes down. So you're going to have typically 2 layers of 3 boxes. And then this is where your segments, or in the case of Jonah, your paragraph titles will be. I'm also going to draw a little line here. So right here is, you do the book name. And then title, you're going to give each book a title. And then here is the main message. So this is a summary of the main message that will go here. So this you're going to fill out at the very end of the week in step 5. But this is your horizontal skeleton. So the next thing you're going to do is do some math to know where to draw your line. So the really cool thing about a visual book overview is that you can see exactly how much time the author spent on each section. So once again, even showing you the author's intent there. So it says determine the number of verses in your book. So we give that to you in your assignment checklist. In the case of Jonah, it's 48. Then you find the number of squares horizontally. So if you have drawn with 1 box on each side on this exact paper, this is 41 squares. So then you start doing some math. There is a spreadsheet online for you to use, but you can also do it by hand. You can see I did mine by hand right here. So what you do is you divide the number of usable squares by the number of verses in the book to get your scale. So I divided 48 by 41, which is the usable amount of squares, and I got the number 0.85. So I rounded to 0.85, and then that is what I'm essentially going to calculate for each paragraph, or in the normal case, each segment. So I'm going to count how many verses are in each segment, and then I'm gonna do that. So for the case of Jonah, this paragraph right here, or in the case of what it'll usually be is a segment. So 1-1 has 3 verses. So you can see segment 1, 3 times 0.85 is 2.255, which I rounded to 2.5. So I essentially go through, figure out all the verses in each part, times it by my little scale there, and then I get the number of boxes that each of these parts is. So you can see here, I did the math, rounding up, rounding down, and then I ultimately added all these things up to make sure it added 40 to 41, and then I come in and I start drawing my lines. So you can see, I'll just do a couple on here, and then I'll show you the final version. So I'm going to sit down here, and I'm going to say, all right, the first, and then you can use a different pen, so I'll go ahead and use a different pen here. So the first part of Jonah is only 3 verses. So I'm going to do 2.5. So you can see here, I've counted 1, 2, and then half. I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to draw a line. Then I'm going to say 1, 1, go Nineveh, Jonah flees. Then my next one, oh, it's the same size. So it's another 3 verses. So I'm going to say, okay, half and 2, go like this, go down. All right, and then I'm going to do 1, 4, Lord, tempests. So you get the gist of it. I would draw, so let's just go ahead and do, okay, the next one is 3. The next one is 6, so this is a bigger section, so I'll do 6. Then there's 1. All right, so the interesting thing is that this marks a full section. So I'm going to go on up. I'm going to actually draw my line up here because these 4 or 5 pieces, they essentially create what are segments or sections. So you can see here, I have 2 layers, so they're the same. Usually this is divisions and sections, but for the case of Jonah, it's a little bit different. So I'm going to do the title, so you can see Jonah flees from call, and then location in the boat. So I'm going to do those right here. Jonah flees and from call, and then location in the boat. And I could even draw, if you're good at drawing, draw a little boat. You can really, you can be creative in these things. So that's the general process. I would essentially finish it through, and then this is what it looks like at the end. So you can see I have my book, I have my title. For now, I might edit that throughout the week. I'm going to come back and write the main message here at the end of the week. But you can see here, I see the 4 sections, or essentially scenes of Jonah, because it's a story. And so you have, okay, Jonah flees from call, location in the boat, Jonah's severe mercy experience in the fish, God's purpose prevails in the city, and then Jonah's anger and God's challenge outside of the city. And so to me, this is awesome. This is something that I would use to teach the book of Jonah in church on a Sunday morning. So hopefully that helps.